Hi, so welcome everyone and welcome once again Vivek and Fernando. Harish will be joining us shortly. So just for the audience, we are here to discuss the agencies. I mean, we have a lot of seminar, a lot of webinars going on where people are talking about a lot of things. So we thought that this is our industry. Let's see what exactly is happening in our industry and let's call the experts and hear what they have a take on this. So I will start with Vivek and I would like to ask your get your take on the current crisis and how it's impacting your agency as well as the industry. Vivek.
Okay, so I think I see
And we
Harish
also have
come in.
Harish now. Yes,
So
Harish is
Harish,
there.
you just came in time. Otherwise, Navneet had given me permission to talk on behalf of WVP2. I'm not
I
sure
don't
if you
think
heard
he
me.
is able to hear you. Otherwise.
Hi, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right,
Did you
great,
hear my
very good.
comment? I said that Navneet had given me permission to speak on behalf of WVP2 because you were not
Fantastic, man.
joined
I'm
in time.
logging off. I'm logging off.
Go for it.
You don't want to hear a Densu guy speak about WVP and give you permission for it, my friend. Okay, so coming back to your question, Navneet, uh, you know, I know it sounds cliche that there is an opportunity in crisis, but honestly, if you ask me, right, the biggest crisis that I faced personally was in 2008. So we were communicated to in those days, and 90% of our business came from banking, financial, insurance companies, and suddenly the entire industry sort of stopped spending monies. Uh, we had a
Right.
huge challenge on our hands because we were using the monies that we would get from publishers for our growth. But then what happened was that that crisis allowed us to move away from the model of not having just one vertical giving us all the business, not having one client giving us 40% of revenues, not focusing on media volatility as a business model. So build up, retainer businesses, SEO businesses, consulting and content businesses. I think there is this concept called frog in the boiling water, right? You put a frog in lukewarm water
Right.
and take that to boiling temperature, the frog dies. But you throw him in boiling water, the frog jumps out. I think the way we have to use crisis is that I
Right.
think the agency model had challenges uh, before COVID-19 happened. So I think we should have started working on it earlier than that. So as Dentsu, we built our Dan Data Labs, which are technology tools which basically automate advertising, or we partnered and acquired Merkle, which is a data company, or we built a private equity kind of a venture arm to fund technology companies. So there were so many things that we were doing before the crisis happened. Similarly, today that boiling water has hit us. So I think us in the agency world, we should treat it as an opportunity. This would have happened slowly over a 5-year period, 10-year period, because some of the fundamental agency models are challenged. So I think if we use it as a crisis to make some changes, there is this theory of winning on the curve. So if you ever learn race car driving, you actually accelerate at the curve. First you brake hard, and then you accelerate on the curve. So it's called winning on the curve. I think that's what it is. I think this COVID-19 has given this break to all of us. Now the thing is, how do we use this phase to change the business model we have? How do we look at how we can actually integrate better with clients, solve the real problems they face? And I think there's an opportunity for us to recover from it stronger. So it's going to be important. How do we take this? In a way, I have a feeling that in hindsight, 5 years down the line, we will all look back and say, I'm glad COVID-19 happened, and this was the jhatka all the agencies needed for us to recover from it and recover from it stronger. So we may just look back on this as the biggest opportunity we ever faced in our life, because I look at 2008 as the biggest opportunity that I have ever faced in my life. I'm glad 2008 happened to me. If it had not happened, I would have not matured as an entrepreneur or not built a more successful agency than what I had in 2008. So that's my two bits on the current crisis.
Okay, that's the positive scenario. Of course, we all are hoping for. Harish, what would be your take? And I'm not sure if you would the question I repeat again. So I'm just trying to get a take on the current crisis. How is it exactly impacting your agency, and how do
Right,
you see it's impacting the industry? Yeah.
right. So I'll talk a bit specifically about our own agency and how do I see it happening as far as the digital advertising industry is concerned. There are two parts of our business. One is the creative and media part of the business. Second is the technology part of the business. The media part of the business definitely has been hit. I mean, nobody seems to be advertising in the last 4 to 6 weeks. While people are talking of TV spend shifting to digital, fact is everybody's holding on to cash. Unless the customer is back in the shop or the mall, there is no point in putting money out at this point of time. So the media business definitely has taken a hit in Q2. The technology business seems to be very sound. So we're not seeing anybody back off from investments in things like websites or apps or marketing automation on stuff like that. So one part of the business seems to be steady. One part of the business we're definitely seeing challenges. Having said that, when I look at the overall industry, when you talk of digital advertising or digital media, our mind keeps going back to Google and Facebook. I mean, that is not what digital is all about. Digital is also SEO. Digital is also content creation. Digital is also technology. It's also marketing automation. It's also chatbots. So if you look at the entire plethora of stuff that a digital agency should have to offer, I mean, typically 70-80% of your business should be secure. And once we come out of lockdown, that is where growth will come. We have been talking of digital transformation for 5 years. It never happened. I mean, COVID is going to be responsible for digital transformation. Every single brand that was questioning, do I need to get onto digital? The question is answered beyond doubt. Everybody knows that you need to have a digital outreach. You need to have a method to reach out to the consumer, either via e-commerce or online businesses. So if I am a digital agency, by the time it hit H2, I should actually be seeing a lot of business come my way, not only in terms of advertising, but also in terms of builds. So that is my perspective on industry. I don't think digital agency should have any reason to be cribbing.
Right. So we'll take this question to Fernando. Of course, after Google SEMrush, what's the maximum data we would say? So in terms of data and figure, do you see how it's impacting, and in terms of is it impacting anywhere in SEMrush or in a positive or a negative way? And how do you see it? Because you have the largest number access. Yes.
Yes, of course. There are big changes here in terms of how people are searching for products, for services. User behavior is not normal because we are in overall not in a normal situation. But I wouldn't say that this is the new reality that we are facing. The situation that we are experiencing right now is going to change in the, I don't know, a couple of months, in 3 months, or maybe till the end of the year. For a company like us, with the number of employees that we have, the problems we face were more related to the offline events, basically to how we wanted to engage with customers. I mean, to the sales team, they cannot go out now. Nobody can travel. But in terms of developing new features, we are still having a lot of ideas right now, more than ever, because people are watching trends. They want to know what is gonna be happening in the real estate industry, how user behavior is going to be changing in retail, because everybody wants to adapt what. So let me put it like this. Digital transformation should happen in most of the countries in the next 5 years, but all that process is going right now. So basically, all those 5 years are happening right now for all the industries. Everybody wants to have delivery. Everybody wants to have an online communication system, a remote team. So all those three processes are right now jumping years in time. So for a digital company like us, that's something really good, because we basically have only 6 offices all over the world, but we are working in more than 50 countries. So we don't have exactly the one person per country. We're working remotely since the past 11 years. And as Vivek mentioned, yes, of course, this is an opportunity for everyone. Actually, SEMrush was created because of 2008 situation, the crisis that was there. Our founders, they were looking, oh, we need to think about something that is needed right now in the market. companies are looking for trends. At that time, they were looking for more information about competitors, and that's how we started, because a need and because of crisis. So it's a good time for everyone.
Oh, that's an interesting take. So there are two of the Vivek and Fernando, both of their companies actually took off post 2008. So that could be something for people to take back home to. So now my next question would be, because everybody right now in a stage where people, because people right now, most of the agencies, of course, don't have that much of a business, of course, because the spends are low, and of course everybody is trying to keep the cash with them. But I will still say, but we all have sales team with us, and we all have mouths to feed. So my question to Vivek, coming back to you, is what is your agency right now doing are you acquiring new businesses and able to increase sales right now in COVID-19, or how is your sales going?
Actually, our sales are going good. One of the things that Harish mentioned, that we've been talking about digital transformation with a lot of companies for a very long time. And it was always this sort of back burner, right? It was never upfront, where the promoter or the CEO of the company would be excited or very, very interested in talking to you and doing something about it. I think the last 1 month, that complete transformation has happened. We've had more inquiries, more of our 6-month-old, 10-month-old pipelines that have suddenly come up. A lot of clients who now are very, very serious, where right from the promoter of the company or the CEO of the company downwards, everybody is involved in the process of wanting to do digital transformation. In spite of, I think, I would say that, I think if you honestly ask me, our sales process, I believe, has improved than what it used to be before pre-COVID. Because earlier, the way agencies and networks, like Harish and testament to the fact, we're structured where we are sort of top heavy, and then we have a lot of layer and junior people who then execute a lot of work. But generally, we are not able to tap into the senior management for the pitches, even though we may have 23 CEOs in India and the best brains in the country. I think this COVID-19 has allowed us to participate and solve a lot of clients' problems, regardless of where the client is situated. All of us can brainstorm together. We can come together. I think I've probably done more video calls and, I would say, quotation mark work than I've ever done in my life, because every half an hour I'm going in from one pitch to the other, from one meeting to the other, from a CEO to CEO to promoter, and the quality of time that I'm spending in solving real problems. So, honestly, between you and me, I would solve a lot of problems for clients 20 years ago when I was still a nascent agency. Over a period of time, I think that time of spending to solve client problems are reduced. I think what COVID-19 has done for me has got us, all of us, what made us successful, and luckily 11, 12 of us are acquired companies for Dentsu. All of us are now getting back to what we were really great at, what made us great agencies. We're able to bring that strength back to our clients and collaborate better than ever before. Even though we were structured to collaborate, but the collaboration was, a desire. I'm seeing that desire turn into action in the last 1 month. And I think this is the way things are going to move in the future. I'm pretty sure that you will have a lot of pitches in the future where you will have a video camera or a person remotely logging into that pitch from somewhere or the other constantly. You would not be flying that person down from Delhi, Bangalore, or New York for those pitches. You will be having multiple people in the room, but multiple people from different parts of the world collaborating on a pitch. I feel that we will become superior partners for our clients because we'll deliver a superior solution because of higher collaboration than ever before.
Yeah, so yeah, we can see that previously, before pre-COVID, people would think about that a camera meeting, or people would like to have a personal meeting, but I think now people will get used to it. As we say, we will be forming habits, and that's an interesting take. So basically what you are saying is you are able to get more.
Only challenge is that drink with the client has now become a coffee with the client rather than a drink with the client.
The bars are open now, Vivek. Liquor shops are open.
Okay, so that's interesting thought. And Harish, I would put the same question to her. What would be your take on this? So how are your agency doing this, acquiring new businesses?
Interesting question. So again on the creative and media part, yes, definitely there's a bit of a slowdown in terms of number of new pitches. If at a given point of time we were doing 4 pitches a month, maybe we are doing 2 pitches a month. On the technology and marketing automation part, there is absolutely no slowdown. We continue to see the same number of inquiries come our way. Very interestingly, we closed a very large retail client a couple of weeks back. And my question to the sales team was, everybody's shops are closed. I mean, how did you manage to convince this client to start investing at this point of time? And the response was that this client believes that, this is the best time to make an investment when the market is bad, because everybody is free. You will get resources cheap, do all your building, get all your systems in place. By the time markets come back, you will be the first off the ground. So the way I see is that there are going to be two kinds of brands and businesses. One, people who are visionary. They will try to make the best use of this. Two, people who have cash flows. A guy who's stronger, irrespective of your category, will become stronger at the end of COVID. And a guy who is weak, irrespective of the category, will become weak. So guys who are stronger, guys who are visionary, are going to make the best use of this market, put their digital thinking into place, use the opportunity, get things up and going.
Okay, so that's an interesting take. The people, as you are strong, they will go stronger. If somebody feels they are weak, of course, this is the time when you would actually go weak. Now, Fernando, correct me if I'm wrong. So, would not SEMrush be seeing more subscriptions now because everybody has time for research and everything, which we were putting back that we will do on Sunday or a weekend? So, has your subscription? I mean, hasn't your sale increased? I would say.
Well, actually, we were expecting a decrease in the number of subscriptions because of the situation, but it was otherwise. The amount of users that we have is slightly growing, but not in terms that, okay, I'm a new user and I want to start from zero without any knowledge. So there are very, very interesting companies that right now they're investing a lot on search, on SEO. So they are doing traffic analytics, they are doing site audits for their own businesses. So I believe for them, this is the time to clean up the house, to take all the technical SEO stuff, fix it, to have more a larger view on what is happening on the market. So we think that the term competitor analysis right now is more important than ever, because with so many companies entering the market, with so many new businesses created, and with so other that are closing this time, you will have movement on every industry. So maybe your competitor for last month is not working anymore. They pivot, or they don't exist anymore. But I'm sure most of the agencies, if we're talking about agencies, a lot of agencies, they had some clients working in their accounts, but their clients, they didn't have the money to pay their services, so they just pivot their businesses. They bought the businesses, and right now they are running their companies just for a certain period of time. So there are different ways that these situations can go on. And for us, for example, we needed to react to this situation, right? And we saw that the major industry, the ones who are suffering the most, for example, airlines industry, the hospitality industry, the hotels industry, or the offline event industry, they were reacting more on social media. So we say, okay, social media has become an important place to create conversations and to support people during this time. So we started giving our social media products, our social media features for everyone for free. So that's the part that we are supporting to our audience, and to create more awareness as well, to say, okay, if you are facing troubles in this time, you cannot work because, let's say you are a hotel, you cannot work this time, but you can communicate, you can still create engagement with your audience. So keep connected with them, and you don't need to pay for something that is free right now and is really professional. So use some social media products that a company like SEMrush. I know there are many other companies doing the same thing, but this is the way that a large company can support.
Okay, so let's little bit talk about from the client side, because most of the questions, I mean, the industries which we are representing here are a mix of small and big in our audience. So there are a couple of questions. Which industries will not be affected in a negative way from this COVID-19 for the next 6-12 months? And which industries are worth going after crisis subsides? So these are two questions, Vivek, for you, Arun.
So my belief is that I think you can count the industries on your fingers, the industries that will do well, right? So let's say if you take gaming industry or ed tech industry, or you take some of the delivery industries of essential goods or pharmacies, etc., right? Which obviously are going to do better. But I have a feeling that rest, almost all industries will get affected negatively, because even if you are into consumer products and lockdown is removed, but if you are worried about your income, you're worried about your salary, consumptions is going to reduce. And I think a lot of people who have, if you take the entire Gen Z millennial segment which India has, right, which is 75% is below the age of 35, and I think 50% is below the age of 25. Right? So if you take that audience, they have always never seen savings as the way our generation would have seen it. So they were into consumption, they were experiences. I'm sure this crisis will affect at some level behavior on consumption. So that could have a long-term effect on almost all industries. But again, the day Wuhan reopened, I think there were $4 million of Louis Vuitton bags sold or shoes sold, right? So there is also a concept of revenge shopping, hoping that is the other way around and people rush back rather than their entire behavior changes. But I have a feeling that this is going to be the new normal, as they call it, is going to be quite different. I think one industry that I'm pretty hopeful of really benefiting from this long run is the entire digital industry. Digital industry is not from a point of media or acquisition, but the movement of the world into a digital age, where digital plays a role of a catalyst or multiplier across every single facet of life and every single facet of an organization, whether it is acquisition of customers or brand communications or understanding consumer trends or hiring people or training them or figuring out how we can work dispersed all over the world. That Thomas Friedman said about the flat economy and the flat world. I think this is going to accelerate digitalization and digital transformation of the whole world. All the people were sitting on the fence that are we going to have a digital world? I think that is no longer an option. I have a feeling that the biggest benefit of this thing is going to be is that the whole world will have to go for digital transformation and all the things that go along with it, whether it goes with data, it goes with DMP, it goes with technology, it goes with dispersed way of working, work from home, all the millions of things that you can think about and talk about. All these things will grow because that's the new normal. That's how people are going to work. People have realized that all these things that we believed in, that unless we meet a person, a sale is not possible. Unless we meet a person face to face, rapport is not possible. All this is now thing of the past. So I believe that this is the fundamental shift the world will go through, where people will realize that almost everything that we did physically one-to-one can be done almost as effectively using digital mechanisms and digital vehicles.
Right. So, Harish, what would be, or what do you think, which industries, because I mean, I have audience also asking a similar question, that what are the market segments they should focus on the post lockdown or post COVID period, and what type of industries you see will not be effective in a negative way? Yeah, Harish.
Sure. So one way for me to just agree with whatever Vivek says, but let me give a contrarian viewpoint for the benefit of the attendees here. I've seen some data about what happened in China. So what was Jan, Feb, March in China, and then what has been happening in April, May, June. And the data we saw that let's say businesses were doing at a certain point of time something in December. When COVID hit for 1 quarter, they saw a dip, and when they went back to second quarter, they saw an upswing. The recovery seemed more like a V-shaped recovery. It has not been a U or a stretched out L. It has been a V-shaped recovery. Things went down very quickly and they also went up very quickly. In terms of some specific numbers that we saw, I think we saw business in China come down by like 30% in Jan, Feb, March. And we saw almost like a 20% recovery happening in this current quarter. And the hope is that by the time you hit Q4 of this year, you will pretty much be where you were last December. So China seems to be kind of showing us a way because they've been ahead of us by almost 3 months in this particular curve. So my hope is that we're going to be seeing something like a V-shaped curve and things coming back to normal very quickly. Will there be substantial change in consumer habits? I mean, my feeling is no. While we all seem to believe consumerism will stop and so on and so forth, my feeling is moment the doors open, we'll just forget what COVID was. We'll kind of get back to very normal life and spending money and doing whatever we need to do. Having said that, specific industries which are doing well and will continue to do well, for example, online education. I mean, these guys will be doing brilliant stuff. The only guys whose ads you see in Times of India, three pages, full page ads on the front page of your e-paper is Byju's. So online education, for example, is to do very well. Anything where you can offer online services, online education, online yoga, okay, or delivery options, e-commerce companies, all these guys will do brilliantly well. The one sector that will have a huge challenge coming back, in my opinion, is going to be a cross-border travel. Even things like hospitality at some point of time will start getting back to some sense of normalcy. But I don't see people traveling across borders very easily. Just like because of 9/11, we had security checks. I think every country will now start guarding its borders with some kind of health check. So cross-border travel is one category which probably will take a hit for a long, long time.
Okay, so as rightly said, we expect online education to go up.
Amit, knowing my lifestyle, that just broke my heart.
Yes, it broke my heart too, but yes, yeah, that
You
is
mean
true.
traveling?
Yeah,
This is the longest I've been at home, right? I mean, like 2 months and nowhere to go. Can't believe it.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, Fernando, what would be your take on this? Which industries do you think would do better besides online education, of course, and travel faring not very well?
Oh, yes. Well, actually, we held a major research based on what is happening on every single industry, and I have other winners here, the ones who are related to remote services. So the major winner here is, of course, Zoom. Then we have Slack, all the platforms that allows you to work remotely for Microsoft. What is the name of the service? Microsoft Teams. Then you also Skype. The amount of people searching for Skype, or the new ICQ version who's competing with Zoom. So all the remote services, so software, basically software that allows you to work remotely, are the ones who are reaching up to the skies. The second, of course, is online education. The third biggest one is home fitness. So there are a lot of trainers that switch from going to a gym to online. So basically home fitness and everything related to better health or recipes at home. All that is going really up. Again, we saw here a major growth in online gambling. So people are at home, it's kind of boring, so they want to play something. Online gambling and online games as well. So people are doing a lot of stuff. Have you played a game recently? I returned to some of the old classic games like StarCraft or Warcraft. I had an account with 15 years something, so I returned to that. Basically, most of the people, they did something similar. And one other major winner here is all the dating industry. So dating platforms such as Tinder, Badoo. So with online communication, people cannot connect. We cannot hack each other, right? But we can steer, interact, we can create conversations. So all these applications for chatting are the big winners here. And at the other side, the companies who are losing a lot of traffic, of course, we have here the hotels industry. The major loser in terms of traffic, of course, are the air companies. And one of the major losers here, of course, are all the offline events. Olympic Games, we're not going to have any Olympic Games. Actually, this is the first time that I don't see any news because I, at home, as you, the last couple of months, I don't see any news related to football or soccer or any other sports in the news. So this is the first time in the history of media that you don't have any news about what is happening on sports, what is happening on basketball. So this sports, the sports industry is losing a lot of money here. Basically, if you want to follow all the trends, just check Google Trends, the industry that you're working on, and you can check, of course, trends also on SEMrush just by your keywords.
Okay. So just to summarize, so a lot of people, if people think digital is not working right now, it is for online education, for gambling, for softwares, for these lot of agencies, which is a lot of industries, which is working fine. So my question come back, Vivek, to you, that in this time, because of course when people have the clients have reduced their spend, how are agencies providing quick wins and ROI in these, specifically in these times? So is there anything which you could share with us, like how does, because people are looking for quick wins to justify their expenses or spend, so how are you guys doing it?
So I think basically, I think what we have to realize as an agency is what are the job that what the client wants us to do. So I was catching up on online education. So I'm doing this course called Disruptive Strategy by Professor Clay Christensen from Harvard. And he actually passed away in 2020, Jan 2020. And so it's quite fascinating just to hear him speak. And he talks about that people use your to do a certain job. Now, what happens is that our job as an agency is not doing advertising. Clients use us to acquire customers, the clients use us to acquire more profitable customers, and so many times we lose that metric that we are trying to do for the client, and we focus on our job to be done as advertising for them. So I think the time is to move where we said, okay, can we help them acquire more profitable customers? Can we help them acquire customers based on the CRM data they have? Can we help them acquire customers based on data of third parties or second parties that is available? Can we do something about the first party data strategy? In 18 months, cookies are no longer going to exist. Can we help them build a digital platform by which they can build a first party data strategy in a DMP for themselves, by which they can then use it for long-term advertising? How are the 4Ps going from 4Ps to 2Ps, which is pipe and personalization, and what are the digital strategy that we can develop for them? I think the challenge is that we still going to the same client and offering the same service and expecting a different result. Right now, he's not in that mode to spend monies. You have to be innovative and change the strategy and see what is the job that he wants to get done. And you as his partner, how can you bring people together to do that job for him? And I think then there is money. The biggest challenge that I see is that we are used to having this hammer in our head, in our hand, and we see everything as a nail, but it's the same service. So it's not about packaging services, coming out with an innovative solution. And if you ask me what was success we've got in the last couple of months, even in the last couple of years, has been to understand what is the job the customer wants to do, how we can reorient ourselves as a network globally as well as in India to do that job for him. And if you are able to shift that strategy and do it, I think there is enough business right now to be done, because I think everybody is now looking at what they need to do in their business, and anybody who can help them do that job, I think there is enough opportunity and money to be made.
Okay, Harish, what would be your take? And we little bit have to, because I mean, surprisingly, we have done 35 minutes, look like few minutes to me, but yeah, time flies. So we really have to, and I have a lot of questions. So if we could little bit of, I would be a little going into a quick question. So Harish, for 2-minute take from this, please.
Yeah. So I think Vivek nailed it well when he said that innovation is what is the requirement of the hour. And let me give you an example of innovation. This is a discussion we started having with our team almost 3 weeks back, saying that, look, if you have a retail client and that client is going to, start opening the shop after lockdown, the government is going to insist that you start restricting your footfalls for the number of people who come into the store. Now, how do you ensure that the footfalls are restricted? You don't want the store to get overcrowded. You also don't want a long line of people standing outside, like you were seeing in some of the videos yesterday of people wanting to get in. So we actually came up with an app which is like an appointment booking app. If I want to visit a retail store, I go to the app, I choose the store. It tells me different time slots where there is room for me to come in. I choose a time slot, I get a token. I'm supposed to go to the store only at that time using that token. So all of a sudden, you are helping your client actually manage footfalls, ensure social distancing, at the same time allow customers to come in. So I think that is the kind of innovation. Put yourself in your customer shoes, see what can you do using digital content, communication, media, which allows the customer to manage his clients and his customers.
Okay, that's a nice take. It's just similar to what Apple has it in a store when you book for a support in the US.
Yes, 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 something like this. But this you can do online. Sitting at your home, you can go to the app, click, book a ticket, and then decide. So no more waiting. Just go there, show and walk in. I mean, that's like a brilliant application for somebody doing outlets.
Actually, one of the companies that talked to me called QLess, and I think it's a good idea. I'm going to re-engage with them and
don't steal the idea.
It's a good time to bring them to India. They've been doing this for a long time.
See, that's what the COVID-19 does. We are engaging with our competitors, stealing ideas and whatnot.
Where is competition? Vivek is not competition, man. We are friends.
Right. Yes,
my belief is if you copy from one, it's plagiarism. You copy from a million, it's called research.
Yes. Fernando, my question would be a little different to you, of course, keeping in mind your expertise. What kind of a searches and niches you seeing are increasing in traffic and especially attention span, the data which you see?
Well, basically, we generated sentiment analysis based on, okay, how people are reacting to products messages, to service messages. And we found out that people are kind of very emotional these days. So for a brand, for a business to get a little bit, of course, not that emotional, but reacting with this time, emojis are the trend. If you are a serious business, if you are even the Formula One or the World Cup, whatever, you need to use emojis while you are communicating on social media. Why? Because that shows to the user that you're a human. We saw that many airlines, for example, Qatar Airways, Southwestern Airlines, they're using a lot of emojis when they're communicating. This emoji, the crying emoji. So basically, the last 2 months only, it was an event that is Coachella in Italy. They were using 8,000 times only that emoji. So imagine being more human first with all the users, being more flexible with partners. I was checking the list of questions, and it was a question how we need to react with clients. Do we need to give discounts? Well, everybody's facing a really bad moment this time, so you can be flexible. All the governments are trying to do that, to be more flexible with the people. But if you're a business, of course, you cannot just cut it down your budget and make a dead end for you. So being more flexible, human, empathetic, I will be those are the major points that we're finding with big brands. So this is the way that you need to react as well. Being more empathetic, flexible with your partners. Of course, if you have the possibility to give a discount, give it. If you have the possibility to allocate the budget that you have for some promotion that you are not doing because the situation, you need to invest in the long term or on quick wins. You need to choose.
Okay, Vivek, the same very quick question to you. Is your agency offering discounts?
So, no. Simple answer.
Okay, that's a simple.
I'll give you an example, right? So I don't know if you are aware, right? I think Communicate2, the biggest complaint a lot of people always had about Communicate in the older days was that, we were always premium in our pricing, and we would charge 80 lakh rupees for an SEO project, and those times, as you're aware, 6 lakh rupees what people would charge into SEO. So my belief is very simple, right? This is an industry where you create a virtuous cycle or you create a vicious cycle. If you're able to charge the right price to a client, you're able to hire good people. You hire good people, you deliver better results. You get better results, you can charge higher. Versus you charge lower, you end up hiring low quality people, or spending lesser number of man hours on the client, and then you deliver substandard results, and then you have to keep on charging lower. So either you can create a virtuous cycle for your agency, or you can create a vicious cycle for your agency. The choice is yours. When you fast forward a 5-year period, there is no way that you can charge a lower price and then build a virtuous cycle. So very clearly, I think basically that's how agencies must think. Because imagine, right, when you're buying a pencil, the pencil costs 10 rupees. The fact of the matter is that when he negotiates the price and makes it 9, you still have to give the same pencil. Now, most of the clients have to realize that here they're not buying a physical product. So the quality of talent and number of man hours the agency spends with you will be dependent on how much you're compensating the agency. So imagine you're spending $100 on media and you're asking the agency to reduce their fees from $10 to $7. Where do you think that $3 is going to come from? They're still going to make a profit, right? So it's going to come either from reducing the quality of talent they have on your account, or they're going to reduce the number of man hours they're spending on your account. Because you don't have the same product, there is not the same pencil, they're going to compromise somewhere. And that $3 that you reduced on the agency fees could be 30, 40, 50% of the margin of the agency. So you may end up losing 15%, 20% of efficiency of your media because you reduce $3 from the agency fees. I think I've dealt with 11, 12 procurement departments, and I work with banking, financial, insurance clients, and I've been able to communicate this benefit to them. This race to the zero is impacting the clients a lot more than what is impacting the agencies. Because 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I am Ahmedabad guys would join the agency world. Today, the first choice is not the agencies, right? If you look at 40 years ago, 30 years ago, the best talent in the country, the IITs and IIM joined the advertising industry. Today, how many IIMs and IIT Bombays are joining the advertising industry? Comparatively much lesser. Because we are, बोलते ना अपने पाँव पे कुल्हाड़ी मारना, we are the ones who have reduced this. So I think the key out here is figure out how you can add more value to your client's business today, and then how can you charge a premium, and he should love paying you a premium because you delivered value to his business. Reducing prices is going to hurt you and create a vicious cycle for you, and then it's going to lead to bankruptcy one day or the other, and not only bankruptcy of you as a company, but bankruptcy of the industry. And I think we're not that far away. This vicious cycle has to stop, and we have to stop it.
Okay, I think that a lot of people have this question, so that would have answered. Harish, okay, same question too. Are you guys offering any discounts right now?
Yeah, I have a different perspective. I look at the relationship with our client like a partnership. It's not like a vendor relationship. And then if my partner is suffering, I think I need to suffer with my partner. So I've had clients who have come back and told me that, look, we have made no sale in the month of April. Is there a way for you to relook at the fees? Our answer is yes. If you suffer, we suffer. If you do well, we'll do well with you.
Okay, same with us. Customers are coming to us and we do give them a discount based on, of course, the situation. We know if the agent industry or a customer is not doing well, so we do that. So that would again answer that. Now my another question is, of course, clients are cutting budget, and have you guys thought about doing any innovations, or are you experimenting with your digital marketing campaign? I'll Harish put the same to you. So because this is the time where you could, besides the one which you told about that app, so are you doing any other innovations or experimenting with your digital marketing campaigns?
Oh, absolutely. There is a lot more focus on CRM. Every single client is sitting on tons of data, believe me. On their website, so many people come and go. They keep on collecting email IDs. They don't know what to do with it. The sales guys are sitting on data, marketing guys sitting on data, IT guys sitting on data. They're all sitting in silos. I think this is the time to go back and tell the client that, look, if you don't want to invest money acquiring new clients, whatever data you have, why don't you bring it all together, put it in a data lake, make sense out of it, clean out the data, and start using the data. To me, this makes complete sense to the client. So I think when I talk of innovation, it means this kind of thinking that if my client doesn't have money to spend on media, where can I guide the client where this time till life comes back to normal, they can best utilize their time and energies.
Okay, so so is there any known experiment you can share? Is that besides which you think is working, or something which you had in the recent time?
So I think the entire marketing automation setup we have been doing for a number of clients. We had a client for whom we did a DMP setup, and just by getting all the data together, the client realized that 50% of the people to whom they were trying to reach out using Facebook media were already in their database. It is such a large client, and there are like two arms. One guy is spending money on media, one guy is looking at internal data. Just when you get the data together, 50% ROI just by getting data together. I'm sure this will be true for a number of brands.
So I think basically, similarly, this is one area, again, I think most of the large networks have built tremendous amount of capability. You would have 500, 700 people who have built basically data lakes and DMPs, one of the most sophisticated DMPs in the world, being built by Merkle. And I think this is I think what Hare says is hitting the nail on the head. I think there is this huge opportunity of connecting the CRM and the media bit of it. And in fact, we are working closely with a lot of partners, one of them being Netcore, where again, there is a huge potential of working together and creating this. And I was lucky enough where Rajesh allowed me to make a little bit of investment in Netcore also. But I think that connection between the CRM and advertising, there is a multiplier to be created. And I think all of us should explore that option for the clients.
Okay, that's again an interesting take. Fernando, a question for you would be, I mean, do you experiencing a huge increase in online traffic, or let's say an ad inventory on the web in the last couple of months, or for like in terms of the online traffic for the ads and inventory? What kind of uptick or a downtick you seeing?
Well, actually, we definitely saw a lot of more reactions when we are sending a campaign, when we are creating a campaign. The results are higher than before. When we're doing something more, I don't know, more related to media, when we're doing a YouTube campaign, for example, we see a lot more reaction than the past. When we're doing something more organic, for example, sending an email to our database, the open rate response is much higher, like 3 times much higher than in the previous past. Maybe because everybody's at home, the attention rate is going up. Even when we are doing a webinar call, because we're generating a lot of content, the normal situation was for us to have at least 40%, 30% of attendees coming to the webinar. Right now, we have 70%, 80%. So in terms of attention for ads and for any kind of promotion, I believe the numbers went up.
Okay, and has it changed?
Do the audience has any questions that
Yes,
you would like to
I'm I'm actually restructuring those questions only, and I'm asking those. So these
Okay.
are the questions I'm coming. Yeah. So coming back to Fernando, how has it? Do you think how the way the users are consuming content, has it changed?
Well, basically, for the moment, only the search queries has changed.
Can't hear you, Fernando.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
hear
can.
you.
Okay. So basically, the products has changed. There are some kind of new products that people are searching. Actually, we also had a big research on the most searched products during the month of March, and you will be impressed of the names of those products. So basically, globally, on major retail e-commerce, we saw that people were looking in, and the increase for this product was 50,000%. So it was crazy. The name of the product, of course, is toilet paper. People were searching that a lot. So that product, the amount of search for that product globally. So all the world was searching for that. The second product here, it was really surprisingly, it was Nintendo Switch. I believe if people have kids at home, they want to keep them busy with something interesting. So they were searching for the aspects. And the number 3, of course, are the facial masks, surgery masks. So these are some of the products that are only for this situation, I believe. Most of the businesses, they will try to, they already tried to acquire them. I don't know how's the situation in India, but in Europe, we have a lot of different masks already on the pharmacies, on the drugstores. So it's something that we can acquire. But at the beginning of this situation, nobody can find any kind of these products. Right now, we have a lot of them. So the demand is not that high as before.
Okay, Now I would take some, we just have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to take some quick questions. So question from Chandra for, I would Vivek put it to you. Digital implementations take long time. So would this mean that digital jobs will be very secure in the future? Vivek?
So see, the way I would look at it, don't look at uh, security from a point of view of that because digital takes a long time, that's the reason the job should be secure. I think if you're solving a client's problem, if you're helping him to do the job that he wants to get done, if you are constantly innovating, delivering him value, you will have a secure job. Don't make it industry dependent. I think the concept of digital itself will change. See, today when you say, you don't say digital photograph or digital music or even like a mobile phone, right? You just say a phone, you just say a photograph, you just say music. It means digital. Similarly, I think we are going to enter where there will not be something called digital, right? There'll be marketing, there'll be advertising. So now what happens is that if you're looking at that industry, then your job is secure. If you're solving a client's problem, every single person will have to use, like the office peon in my office, we order coffee and tea when office used to work on WhatsApp for him, with him. So that means 20 years ago, there used to be an ad that computer knowledge will be preferred while taking up a job. Today, even an office peon needs to learn how to use WhatsApp just to fetch you coffee. So I think digital is the age we're going to live in. They're going to affect every single part of our lives. So focus on solving a client's problem, educate yourself, make yourself better and better. If you invest in your learning and education, your job will be secure. Otherwise, you could become irrelevant even in the digital world in spite of knowing digital.
Okay. Harish, the question to you, and we just have running short on time, so this very quick answers basically need quick bites. So Praveen is asking that I own a digital marketing agency. We have a clients in real estate business, and we are finding it hard to generate leads. So any idea how to work on this niche, the real estate, Harish?
It's a tough category. That's my only answer. And I think it will be very, very challenging to sell real estate for some time to come. We should also see price of commercial real estate come down. So I don't have an answer. It's a tough category.
Okay, Vivek, if let's assume this question is from Abhishek, that he thinks in the worst case scenario, if a COVID-19 lasts for a longer time, say 2 years, and also including work limitations, what do you think would be, will people be willing to invest their saving for better returns? Or how do you think it's going to impact the industries or the across all the industries? What all limitations do you see with that?
Look, I'm not clear the question. Savings as a consumer, savings as a
saving
business,
saving as a client, as a customer, would you be will the clients be willing to invest, and will the consumers be willing to buy products, or rather they would save money for 2 years because they don't see any ray of hope coming out of this if this goes for more than if it goes for, let's say, 2 years? So what do you think that would happen?
So there are two views to this, right? One was a view that Harish sort of discussed and said about China, how they recovered. It was a V-shaped recovery rather than a U-shaped recovery. So there are three things, right? It can either be a V-shaped recovery where people come back to normal, a vaccine is invented and people even forget COVID happened. The other option is that we're looking at, see, if you take the generation before us, right? They came from that thing where job security and safety and the bottom laws of Maslow's were more important, right? The security,
Right.
but we came with this consumption needs, right? We had the money, we wanted to consume. I think this will reset for some people at least that sense of savings and security, and you will figure out that it depends on what will happen in the next 12 months and when the vaccine is invented and when we can go back to a normal life. If this extends for next 12 months, 24 months, I have a feeling that the behavior will have some impact where the consumption behavior that we are used to may change, where people will have some kind of savings built in. And
Right. All right.
so again, it's a very difficult question. Nobody knows the answer. It depends how long
Yeah, we just had one Spanish flu way back a century back, so there is no definitive answer. Fernando, a quick question to you from Kirtana. She's asking, what would you advise your clients giving the new Google Core Update release scenario to do regarding to digital content? I think a core update anyhow happening today itself as well as we speak. So yeah.
So yes, it was basically yesterday. Nobody knows how this affects everyone yet, but I was reading in the Google blog that if you have relevant content that solves people's needs, question, and if you have some kind of research on that content, so is nothing very superficial, but it's very serious content that can solve people's problem. I'm thinking about feature snippets or features, markups, schema markups here. So all content that is related to Google to make it more understandable and more pushable for users. And in terms of from people, if your content is solving people's problems as usual, so everything should be fine with you. But in other case, you just need to check what is happening with your competitors if they are doing better in this case. Right now, nobody knows, but I will not be so surprised of seeing a lot of businesses running out of ranks these days.
Okay, thank you. Vivek, question for you. How do you think how important SEO is going to be?
So I think that's a biased question, my friend, being an SEO company.
Yes.
But I think,
that is intended to be.
I think so. The way I look at it is SEO is going to be very, very critical and important, but it's not SEO that's going to be important alone. It's going to be content, because content creates a multiplier on paid, organic, and social. Three pillars of digital are dependent on content. So I don't even believe people should have a digital strategy. They should have a content strategy. If they have the right content strategy, then all the three pillars of digital create a multiplier and deliver results to clients.
This Rahil also asked that, I think this answers him. He asked that he has a team of 10 people and he's providing SEO, PPC, social media content and technology. Is it good to focus only on SEO, PPC or SSM? What do you think he should do best? And I think it would be mainly SEO and content, right?
Yeah, you focus on content, you will be able to focus on everything automatically.
Okay, another interesting question, Harish, from Yatin. He's asking, is this the right time to start an agency since spending capacities of business have reduced significantly?
That's from an entrepreneur's perspective, there are always going to be opportunities, I mean, when there is disruption, that is the right time for an opportunity. But you have to come up with a new model. Just trying to be one more agency, I think that's going to be difficult. You need to have a USP. I don't know, you must be aware, some company that makes chatbots got funded to the tune of $20 million just about 15 days back. Right? That's a digital agency making chatbots. They came up with a new model and something different. So come up with a new model. As an entrepreneur, this is the time to kind of start doing new things.
Right. I'll just one last question. We're just going into just a couple of last question. I would rather be talking about impact on talent hiring. So are you guys, Vivek, I'll come first to you. So are you guys looking at these, have you noticed an uptick in the number of resumes you are getting, and are you hiring right now? What is the scenario?
So I think at this point of time, we are always looking for talent. I think it's a great time to actually get talent, and because of the stability that some of us offer, we obviously get the pick of the talent. There's a lot of opportunities of acquiring companies, a lot of opportunities of really growing. Will it happen this month? Probably not. But I think this is one area where definitely every crisis creates an opportunity, and the people who are strong actually have an opportunity to become stronger. So for the right candidate, a lot of people who otherwise were hesitant to explore joining us, or they want to be entrepreneurs, today are in talks with us, and I feel it's a great time. If you're strong, I think the winning on the curve is a great idea, and I think you should accelerate.
Okay, man, final last question to Harish. What are you doing to ensure your team is confident about working from home, and are they confident about the future of the agency industry as such? How are you keeping your team motivated?
I think this is the time for empathetic leadership. This is not the time for a P&L driven leadership. We need to be empathetic to our people. We need to understand their challenges. Appreciate the situation of a lady working from home. She has to manage work, she has to manage a kid, she has to manage a husband, and she has to find a place where she can put her computer and work. So our message to team is that please be empathetic to your people. please recognize the situation that they are in, and please realize that when you come back out of COVID, these are the 300 guys who will again start delivering work for you. I think this is a time for empathetic leadership. It is time for over communication. As leaders, we need to over communicate.
Right. Okay, with that, I would, of course, we could go on and on, but just 1 hour passed by and we still have a lot of questions. However, we have a Twitter handle based traffic. If you go and ask us a question, I would definitely ensure I get answer from one of these guys to you. And just before we end, we have a poll. We have a small poll just to understand how do we have done and just to get the representation. So poll will come on your screen right now. If you could guys answer that. So there are gonna be 3 polls. So I'm just gonna launch fast and I'm gonna give a minute to you guys. So then once you do that, then I'll have a couple of more polls. Okay, I'm just gonna add it in last like 10 seconds. So okay, I would be closing this poll, and the next poll, which I feel is important for us to understand all of this, is going to be in front of you. How has the crisis affected your agency finances? You could, so that is the next poll. We'll be sharing this data in terms of the percentage on our Twitter account as well. So just last 10, final 10 seconds, guys. Okay, I would end this poll here now. So my final feedback from all of you guys, I think this session was good, and I would be launching this poll for how do you like this live session, and do you would be, because this feedback from you is going to encourage us to get more of these interesting sessions and more of these industry leaders back to our channel. So this is the last, and I would also in the meanwhile like to thank Vivek, Harish, and Fernando for joining us. And I'm just gonna close this poll now in last 6 seconds. So I'm gonna close this poll, and yes, so I'm closing this poll now. Thank you very much. Okay, so okay guys, so here we come at the end of this session. Thank you very much for coming and joining us here for this interesting session. Yes, it had a lot of insight for us. I'm sure our audience also loved it. So again, thank you Harish, thank you Vivek and Fernando, and hopefully we'll be coming for another of these series. Thank you. Okay, bye guys, we're gonna end this webinar now. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Akash, can you end up please?
I think, yeah, so yeah, so I think everyone has left the session, right? So yeah, thank you everyone. Also, thank you for attending the session, guys, and taking out time for today's session.
And the recording of this will be made public shortly. We will put it on our Facebook and Twitter account. Yes,
absolutely.
We'll do it tomorrow.
Appreciate. Yes.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for attending the session, and yeah, looking forward to joining to your participation in another sessions that we conduct. Thank you so much. Bye.